All right, what's up, YouTube? How's it going? Welcome to the channel. If you aren't already, feel free to subscribe. Um, but so apparently, it did another reaction to one of my videos, and someone else that I put a little support out there for. So we're just gonna react to the part where she's reacting to my video, and kind of have this conversation this way instead of actually sitting down and having an actual conversation, because unfortunately she knows that she would probably get torn apart. She actually debated me directly, but here we go. Let's watch the video. Here we go.
The Mystic Witch.
When I first reacted to you, right, you were very against tarot cards in general. You hated anything, or supposedly you said that you hated anything that had anything to do with witchcraft. That witchcraft in and of itself was just bad, right? And opened portals and all that shit. My assumption here, the reason why you changed your branding, is because you realized that there was a lot of people that were watching you that were into magic, that were into witchcraft, and you were getting a lot more heat from that community trying to tear them down, because there's a lot of people telling you that not all witchcraft is like that. So my theory is that you switched up, you pivoted rather, to kind of fit that demographic.
That's a fair assumption, but it proves that you're not psychic. No, that's not.
Okay, first and foremost, I've never claimed to be psychic. Not once have I ever claimed to be psychic, so I don't know why you would say that, like why it proves I'm not psychic, because I've never claimed to be psychic, ever. And I mean, even yourself, you're saying it's a fair assumption. So, I mean, come on. Hey.
Not why I pivoted my brand. Yes, I'm not denying that, and I've already owned that in my previous videos before, that I was against witchcraft. I was against even tarot. And I'm not saying tarot was bad. It was more of looking at it in a way that could draw negative energy. But I didn't understand tarot. I didn't understand how it worked. And I grew to being drawn to tarot, and then I started learning about it. Okay, so that was something that I started to evolve into. And when I was a kid, when I was a child, was very drawn to magic for a long time. But then I was pushed into believing and being segregated by other people, being pushed away, being condemned because of it. The thing is it took me a long time to really realize that I was always a witch, that I was always into witchcraft. And so again, it had nothing to do with the demographic of my channel. In fact, a lot of people still ask me more topics about psychic topics, about deities, astral projection, nothing about witchcraft. A lot of people don't even, in fact, the witchcraft videos that I have, if you look at my channel, do not have like that many views compared to the deity videos or the astral projection videos or my reaction videos. I actually get more views from that. That is definitely not true. I did not suddenly change my brand because of trying to fit a demographic. No, that is not the reason why. I did it because it was my heart, and I just felt like I was drawn towards witchcraft. And it was after also a lot of shadow work, a lot of healing that I did with the Egyptian goddess Isis. When it comes down to that, no, you're painfully very, very wrong on that.
Well, again, like I'm going to say, I give credit where credit is due. And I mean, except for like the end of that comment where she's trying to stick it like a gotcha kind of thing. I wholeheartedly accept that answer. That seems like a very sincere response. And this is one of the reasons why I consistently say that there needs to be communication within the community. I believe that regardless of us disagreeing amongst ourselves inside of the occult community, we need to be able to communicate with each other, because at the end of the day, we're all occultists. And there needs to be a line of respect on that. This idea that we need to go to war with each other because somebody believes, or works the left-hand path and someone else doesn't, and then to turn someone from the left-hand path into the enemy. There are a lot more people out there that want to and are willing to destroy us, regardless of how white light you think your path is. The Catholics and the Christians out there would still love to see you burn. And that is something that, we all have to suffer together. And on that logic alone, I mean, we shouldn't be at war with each other. But I'm going to be honest, guys. I mean, like I said, I give credit where credit is due. And that response, I accept it. I mean, that's a great response. There's nothing that I can say to tear that down, because there's nothing to tear down. She's talking about her experience. She's talking about, her direction in finding her path. She owned, the idea of saying that these things, that witchcraft was evil and bad and opened up portals, and that, tarot cards were evil and bad and opened up portals. And, is owning that comment and saying that, well, hey, you know what, man, I didn't understand it at that time. And I accept that. Somebody that's willing to grow and have a conversation, I mean, I don't think that, Melinda is willing to have a conversation based off of her next response, but somebody that's, going to kind of jump out and kind of, explain things to that effect, I believe her. So there's that part of it. Okay. Now, I don't know how much more of this I'm going to agree with, but, when I saw that was the first part that I saw, it's like, I need to do a reaction to this, because I'm not someone that just goes through and just hates on people. What I've disliked about Melinda is the misinformation, is that 90% of everything that she has said in most of the videos that I've seen, I've not gone through her entire catalog of videos. I don't have time, patience, or desire to do so. But, the videos that I have reacted to, there's a large amount of misinformation. And it needs to be called out, because it gives people a negative perspective on things that aren't negative, that aren't, supposed to be, like that. For people. So that's one of the reasons why I react so much to her stuff, is because there's always something that it's like, no, that's not true. That's not how this works. And if you go further down the line, you actually do research on this stuff, and you let go of those Judeo-Christian values, that Abrahamic mindset, you'll begin to understand that, these concepts that you're trying to feed into witchcraft that are purely Christian Catholic concepts, you begin to find that these things are not, how things really are. So, credit where credit is due. That seemed like a sincere response. I have nothing negative to say to that. Keep going.
Very wrong.
Because I read through the comment section. Like I'm almost certain that any negative comments have been completely removed.
No, I don't delete all the negative comments. The only time I delete a negative comment is if it's like life-threatening. It has to do with some personal attack based on people in my family or me or situations like that. 90% of the comments, I don't delete them. You can actually see I have loads of constant hate comments. Hell, the Hikate.
This I have to completely disagree with, based off of the fact that I have had so many people go through and, say that, their comments have been removed, have been deleted, things like that. They go back and they try to find their comment and, it's not there. I've been shadow banned on her channel for some time. Like I can post a comment, but nobody's able to see it. She can see it, but nobody else can see the comments I leave, which is why I've stopped leaving comments on the videos. So I would love to sit here and say, cool, that's, you're deleting, you're not deleting, criticisms. And here's the thing, like criticism isn't always bad, right? Criticism, like, I mean, Melinda, if you really want to be, a part of the occult community, the way that you're kind of presenting yourself, trying to be, then listen to people. We don't do this. I mean, does doing a video and you get me views? Yeah, it does. Like, I'm not going to deny it. But at the end of the day, the first video I did on you was before I contacted you, to do a debate, was about your video on tarot cards, specifically on the occult tarot, I think it was. And, it's just the pure amount of misinformation that you're sending out there about tarot cards. Now we've come to the conclusion here at the beginning of this video that you didn't understand tarot cards then. So that's great, awesome, all the power to you. But I've had a lot of people say that they've had comments removed or things of that nature. So I have no doubt that you get tons of negative comments, but I believe that most of them are probably
Say video is a clear example of that.
censors anyone that disagrees with her, which is why I exist.
Actually, the irony is that the reason why he exists on here and why he makes a whole bunch of videos about me is because he wrote to me in my website and he wanted to do a debate and I turned him down. He had
You didn't turn me down. You never answered. You asked for someone, left-hand Satanist, to contact you for a debate. I contacted you. Answered. And then you changed your website from asking for someone that was left-hand path or a Satanist, to debate you, to someone that was an ex-Satanist or someone formerly from the left-hand path to have a conversation with you. And I have screenshots. I have receipts for that, and I can show those because when I first sent you an email, which I only ever sent you one, you were asking for someone that was currently a Satanist or currently a member of the left-hand path to debate you. I requested to do that, and I've done many debates with people that disagree with me. I have an Eastern Orthodox Christian that I have on the channel regularly, and we have wonderful conversation, right? I wouldn't even call it a debate. We have wonderful conversation, both in private and on the channel, completely non-judgmental. I learned from him. He learns from me. We have wonderful conversation. So I don't need someone to be centered around my views or my views and my ideals to have a conversation with me. Anyone that has actually seen Apocrypha, which is the podcast, knows that my co-host is my co-host intentionally because he disagrees with me on a lot of points that I make. And I don't want my channel to be an echo chamber. I want it to be a place where people can see different views that are going against each other, but still see a civil conversation, right? So, no, I don't exist because I'm butthurt because you turned me down. You never turned me down. You never answered. And I'm not butthurt. I'm irritated by most of your content because most of your content is fear-mongering. Most of your content is attacking other people. Grant you try to attack bigger names, like you attack, Kat Von D, you attack Tom McDonald, you attack Zach Baggins, you attack all of these people. you know, and for what? Right? When you get into the nitty gritty, half of the time, the problem is Melinda, you can tell you don't do your research. You don't do your due diligence. You don't check to see what connections people have. You just kind of start spewing shit that are your ideas without ever actually, doing your due diligence. Tom McDonald's is a perfect example of this. You flip out about, the clothing that he was wearing without ever actually knowing that one of the big things that Black Craft Cult have, in its brand is its connection to wrestling. And the fact that Tom McDonald used to be a wrestler, right, in Canada. So, there's a huge connection there that you completely overlooked in your video simply for the sake of trying to say that this guy is a Satanist, because he wears Black Craft Cult, which is more of a metal brand than it is, a satanic brand. It's about, being, aware of yourself, and being, having this kind of, self awareness to the level of believing in who and what you are as an individual. Because one of their biggest things they say, in the brand is no gods, right? They believe in nothing other than yourself. So you can quite clearly see that you didn't do your due diligence. You're just talking off of a symbol, right? And it shows ignorance.
Had a lot of animosity in his emails. He felt very aggressive.
Emails. I sent you one email and there was no animosity. I'll pull that up too if needed.
And I do have that ability where I can feel the energies from people in their messages. And I've had a lot of attacks from people when it comes to psychic attacks, people sending their demons to me. And he also works with Baphomet. He denied it for a long time.
I've never denied working with Baphomet. Ever. I have never, not once, ever denied working with Baphomet. Ever. I've never denied working with Baphomet. Why would I deny working with Baphomet? The thing is, the problem here, Melinda, is you believe that these things are shameful and evil and something that should be hidden. And people on the left-hand path, though the left-hand path is more of a philosophy rather than a religious view, we don't find it shameful to say that we work with Belial, that we work with Lucifer, we work with Lilith, that we work with King Paimon, that we work with Baphomet. We don't find it shameful. It's not something to be hidden. We're very open about this. We're very direct about this. I've never denied working with Baphomet. Though you want people to believe that it is something shameful, that it is something negative, that it is something evil, it isn't. It's quite simply isn't. And again, it goes to show how little you actually know about what it is that you're talking about. If you are going to make this conversion, Melinda, and that this comes from the heart, from one occultist to another, forget about the differences in our views. Forget about the fact that, I disagree with half of the stuff that you say, or more than half. Okay. Forget the drama, forget the back and forth, but from the heart, from one occultist to another, that baseline. You're an occultist. That's what you're saying. I'm an occultist. So from one occultist to another, you need to break away from the Judeo-Christian concepts and Abrahamic values that have been instilled in your brain for years before you can fully make that jump forward. You need to stop hating on people that have different views and open yourself up and see what is actually there. Now, I don't believe that you're ever actually going to do that, because that hate, that animosity, that creating this unified enemy for your people to kind of go towards is creating something that you can bank on. You can get money from it. Right? And it's getting you money. It's getting you response. It's getting you noticed. And I don't think that you're going to stop doing it. I don't think you're ever actually going to fully open up, which is why my first assumption was that you flipped over because the occult community was tearing you apart because of the amount of misinformation that you were putting out there. Because it's not just me. It's not just me that's, talking about you. There are so many people that I have in my community that used to be watchers of you, and then they see the stuff that I say, and they're like, oh, shit. That makes sense. So if you really want to make that move forward, Melinda, into the occult, you need to stop in holding on to those Christian ideals, that Christian dogma that you have in your head. You've said before in your videos that you don't like Christianity, that you don't like the Catholic Church, that you're completely against it. But then in your videos, you continue to talk about a unified form of evil. You talk about the devil as like, this ultimate form of evil. The first thing that we abandon when we go into the occult is just that. That's the first thing that we completely abandon, is the idea of a unified form of evil. Because we know that that exists just to make people afraid, to just make people scared, just to make people feel guilty for being human. Because one of the biggest things in any form of the occult, including the left-hand path, is nature. The natural course and instinct that a human being has. That is what we dive into. There's a reason why we have these instincts. There's a reason why we have these ideas. Why do we need to feel guilty for being human? Why do we need to feel guilty for having lustful desire? We don't. We shouldn't be. Which is one of the reasons why the first thing that we denounce is the devil. And even as someone in the left-hand path that works with Baphomet, that works with Lucifer, because Lucifer's a Roman god, it's not even a Christian concept. That goes far beyond Christianity. So, as someone that works with these entities, Belial, Lucifer, Lilith, King Paimon, right? I still hold that there is no all central form of evil. Evil is a human concept. Nature, in and of itself, is both destructive and beautiful. Nature is not evil because of a tornado, because of a volcano, because of an earthquake. It is a natural course in the universe. It is the chaos that makes everything come together. There is nothing inherently evil about the destructive, chaotic nature of nature itself. It just is. It is not good or evil. It just exists. And universal energy is not good or evil. It just exists. Evil is based on intention, and it is still a human concept. Keep going.
And I kept outing him, and he finally came out and admitted that he was working with Baphomet.
You did not keep outing me. Again, I've never denied working with Baphomet. Ever. Ever.
And so it's like, why would I want to even have a debate with you when you're clearly even lying to your audience? You're clearly lying to your 1,000 fans, which are a lot of people. And you're lying to those people, and you're even lying.
Lying to those people. I have never denied working with Baphomet. Anyone that has been following this channel, people have been following this channel from inception. Everyone knows I have never denied Baphomet. Ever.
To yourself, bro. You're lying. you need to come to terms with being honest with you.
And so this is here's another thing. So that initial comment that she made, like, it's like that was a good starting point, right? It almost seemed like she wanted to have a conversation. And now what she's doing is now she's fabricating and creating a scenario that has never existed, right? To put herself on a higher pedestal. And this is the biggest difference between myself and you, Melinda, and will be the defining difference across the board, is that I've never needed to fabricate anything for anyone. I've never needed to create a lie or extend the truth to get people to like me. I don't care if people like me. I'm not here for you. I'm not here to be the most popular. I'm here to be completely honest about the way that I view the occult and the misconceptions that many people have had. And by the way, to person in the comment section of this video that said that I don't have any of my own content, reacting to content is content. And it's not the only thing that I do. There is the Black Mass Sunday, and then there is Apocrypha. I mainly do live content. I don't do pre-recorded videos most of the time. I focus on live content. And the fact that when I do pre-recorded content, it's a reaction video, that is content. Not having content would be me putting her video up and then just letting that video go and then ending the video without me saying anything. That's not having content. But I have a lot to say, which is why I do these. And so that there is no misconceptions, I do these long cut videos where I don't edit anything so everybody stays honest. One of the things that Melinda is doing is she is bouncing around in my video, cherry picking aspects of it. I don't do that. I let the whole thing run and I respond to everything because I'm 100% legitimate.
Yourself. And that's the biggest reason why he makes all these videos about me. He stopped for a while, I suppose, but he's had lots of videos. Apparently I'm his cash cow, which is kind of weird to say, but it's true. Apparently I give him lots of views. I guess I'm in a way I'm helping him out too.
Completely contradict what you're saying. And there's that jump. You see how it cuts and then jumps to something else? No, I don't believe for a second that you're actually psychic. 2, I don't think you've ever been to hell, much less for 1,800 years. So there's that.
I don't care if you believe me or not. I don't lose sleep at night. I don't care if you believe me or not. The irony is this guy is a Satanist and he works with devils.
Not a Satanist. Never claimed to be a Satanist. Again, understand what you're dealing with, Melinda. Like every time you open your mouth, you show how little you know. And this is so sad. This is so sad because I do feel like you could potentially be a pillar for the community. But most of the community, you attack it. You attack it. Like you call people things that they're not. You show zero interest in trying to kind of open yourself up to different ideas. At the beginning of this reaction that you did of me, you know, you sounded so sincere. You sounded so, you know, like almost like there's a level of empathy, you know, to like, okay, I get why you would think that, but no, that's not the reason. And I'm like, that is a good response. That is an amazing response. That is an amazing way to do things. You know, that is how you have a conversation. It's like, yeah, I can understand why you think that, but no, man, that's not why. Okay, cool. You know, I'm not you. I can't tell you, you know, why you do things. I can say why I think you do things, but that doesn't mean that that's the reason you do it. Right? And because you never answered me, because you refused to have a conversation with me, well, we're never going to be able to put this to bed. We're never going to be able to put this to bed. Do you think that I want to have this type of interaction with someone where the only conversation that we're able to have is reacting to each other's videos? And you're not a cash cow. Like you made a lot of videos before that were things that I completely disagreed with. And then the reason I stopped reacting is because I would look at a video and I'd be like, there's nothing for me to say. There's no point. When you did the video on Tom McDonald, I wanted to react to it, but I left it alone. Then you did the same thing with Kat Von D. And one of the biggest things that irritates me is when people attack another person's clothing style. When I was a kid growing up, the amount of trauma that I had to deal with because of people attacking me because of my fashion preferences was ridiculous. And then to see you perpetuating that. So that's why I reacted to that. And again, this reaction that you're watching here, there's tons of misinformation in there. You're not showing the part where you're talking and what it is that I'm reacting to. You're only showing the parts where I'm talking. I'm showing the whole thing, right? So here's the thing, Melinda. Who's hiding what? Because I'm showing what you're saying. I'm showing what I'm saying and what it is that you're reacting to and reacting to that. So who's cherry picking and who's actually reacting to the full long form content? Who looks like they have something to hide? I don't. You do.
And he doesn't believe that I was in hell. Why? Why do you think that? He claims to.
I don't believe that you were ever in hell because hell doesn't exist. That's why I don't believe you were ever in hell. Because the idea and the concept of hell is a perpetuated Christian concept. And depending on the culture that you ask, hell is something very different for each culture going throughout history, as something that changed. It didn't really become a place of suffering and the end of, for bad people until monotheistic, Abrahamic, Judeo-Christian dogmas and religions kind of took over. That's when it became like this huge negative evil thing. As someone that has denounced the existence of a centralized form of evil, the devil and Satan, as an entity being trolling and setting out bad vibes to everybody, I don't believe in hell. I believe in another plane of existence. I believe in, universal dimensionality, that there's other dimensions, that there are parallel dimensions to ours, but I do not believe in the devil or hell as it is presented in Abrahamic and Judeo-Christian dogma. I simply don't.
To be a philosophical, and I go like this because philosophical Satanism is BS.
Philosophical Satanism isn't BS. Being a philosophical Satanist means that the book, LaVeyan Satanism, Satanic Bible, view it not as a religious scripture, but as a book of philosophy. And that's what I view it as, a book of philosophy that has more validity to it to modern mankind than the Bible really ever has. That's simple.
It's all a lie. To me, it's a lie because a lot of people who are philosophical Satanists are still working with demons, are still working with devils.
Again, see, we're never going to come to terms with anything as long as you keep using demon and devil from the Judeo-Christian perspective. So long as you continue to use those terms and believe in those things in line with Judeo-Christian dogma, we're light years apart. We're light years apart from understanding each other. Because we've been told many, many times where these terms come from, where the term comes from. I've explained it in multiple videos. What the term demon actually means from the Greek, when it was taken and adopted and perverted by Christianity, by Catholicism. And you refuse to see that. You refuse to see the full panorama of things around you. And this is where we will have these interactions in this.
No person is drawn to Satanism for the philosophies. It's total bullshit. And even if they...
If you've ever actually read the Satanic Bible, and the Satanic Bible talking about you need to be able to take care of yourself before you can take care of anyone else. You need to be able to protect yourself. You need to be able to care for yourself. Yes, most people are drawn to Satanism initially because of the philosophy. Unless, of course, you're a 15-year-old edgelord that just wants to piss off their parents. Then that's a completely different story. But again, these blanket statements that you make, Melinda, about an entire community of people, this is where so many people have an issue with you. Create these blanket statements that are damaging to people. You are one of the reasons why things like what happens in Salem to the EST happen. Tried to burn down. They threw a bomb at it. Right? Violence that is acted out upon in real life is because of people like you, because of evangelical extremists. And at the end of the day, Melinda, you might call yourself a witch. And I fully accept your initial response, where that came from, and I respect it. But the way that you continue to talk about things is the reason why people continue to perpetrate violence against the community. Because people like you make them think that it's okay.
They get basically drawn into it. And I'm not saying that's how it is for him. I'm just saying as an example. I don't want to smear his name in that way. But I am saying it doesn't matter to me if you believe that I'm a psychic. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me if you believe that I'm a witch or not. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me if you believe that I was in hell for over 1,800 years. I don't care. Fuck, Anita Serene, the Stargirl, the Practical Witch. She has almost 1 million followers, and she actually wrote on her YouTube channel that she's 15 or 2,100 years old, something like that, like 2,000 years old.
No idea who that person is, but thank you for turning me on to it. I'll definitely check it out.
Over 1,000 years old, bitch, for real, really? And people are following this woman because she's hot. That's the only reason. Not because it makes any fucking sense. It's not called witchcraft. It's called Botox. Okay? It's not called witchcraft. It's called filler.
I have nothing. That's actually pretty.
That's all it is. And for people to call me crazy or to think that I'm crazy, when you have this woman having...
Well, I mean, Melinda, I'm not going to believe that she's 250 years old. You know, I'm not going to fall for that in the same way that I don't believe that you ever went to hell or that you're psychic. And again, that's my opinion. You don't have to care, right? I do believe that people can be psychic. I do believe that that's something that exists. I do believe that that is an actual ability that people have. Right? It's not that I don't believe in psychics in general. And you very well may be. But because of your content, because of the things that you have said, and because of the years of research that I've put into this, they completely clash with each other. And anyone that I believe is worth their salt as a psychic wouldn't immediately jump to the things that are, oh my goodness, oh my gracious, oh my goodness, which is exactly what you do every video.
Almost 1 million followers who believe in that shit. And she does tarot readings. That's it. That's all she does. Tarot cards. And that's bringing in the money. That girl's making like $1 million a year at least, probably a few $100,000 a month. Or a few months. She's making a lot of money. And so my point is that 1,800 years in hell is not that far-fetched when you take time to think about the levels of the dimensions and how those dimensions are so different from what we are here. The time does not exist in the other realms like it does here. It's not the same. Do I take his remark about that personally? Does it hurt my heart? Does it make me sad? No.
It's not meant to. It's not meant to make you feel anything. It's my perspective and my opinion, right? If you were to, Melinda, if you were to get upset or offended by anything that I say that is against you, then we would be having a very different conversation, because I am the first person to say that if you are offended by something that I say that says more about you than it does about me, and based on other videos that you've made and another channel that you completely nuked about your conservative views, there are certain things on that level that I think we agree on significantly more than dealing with the occult. And I will always be the first person to tell you, if you are offended by anything that I say, then that is a significantly more powerful comment on you and you as a person than it is ever going to be anything about me.
I don't give a shit. I don't care. Okay, you don't believe it. That's fine. But when you die, you're going to get a wake-up call because it's a painful reality.
And again, so this is another thing that is contradictory in this belief system. As occultists, most of us, and I say most of us because there is a huge uproar in people that are calling themselves Christian witches, which the whole concept of Christian mysticism to me still just bothers me, because Christianity stole all of that from us. They took it from us, and then trying to fit Christian dogma into the occult is giving validity to Christianity that they don't deserve. It is a very negative thing overall. And for those that disagree with me, then feel free to disagree with me. It doesn't really affect me either way. But knowing that Christianity and Catholicism stole these ideas from us and then adapted them to make it easier for us to convert over to Christianity, or they would just kill us, and then to sit there and say, well, I believe in Christian mysticism, is just a very irritating concept to me. It is not something that I hold any value to. And so the biggest problem here, Melinda, is you talking and presenting yourself as a witch, but then still holding on to this concept or this idea of heaven and hell, which is a Christian concept. The way that you are portraying it, it goes further back to that, and it is very different than what it is inside of Christianity and other faiths throughout history. So the idea that, you know, you're holding on to this Judeo-Christian dogma, you know, as an occultist, it's just irritating to see.
The whole point of my channel and the whole point of even the content about hell is to help people who are already ready for the information. That is actually what Jesus taught me. One of the most powerful sayings that he taught me.
And again, you know, this talking about Jesus, we're talking about a person that, you know, for all historical accounts outside of the Bible, probably never actually existed. You know, and you know, wasn't crucified and didn't die and wasn't resurrected after 3 days. So again, you know, we're holding so tightly onto this Judeo-Christian concept, you know, of religion and faith, that, you know, it's completely blinding us to what, you know, the occult is actually for. And, you know, just, I mean, alone that, you know, you believe Jesus exists, and then are going so far into it to perpetrate a lie to say that you actually had a conversation with this person that probably never existed. You know, it's just sad to see. It really is.
Me. He said, You are not trying to convert people. You are not trying to make people believe in you or believe in what you say or what you teach or what you know. The information that you give out to someone is not going to be for everyone. So there are going to be people that will judge you. That was what Yehoshua even told me in my NDE. He said that it was going to be very painful. He said that a lot of people were going to think I'm crazy. And he also said that I was going to go through a period of process where I'll...
The problem is, Melinda, have this bag of shit that putting together doesn't go together. There's a point of contradicting all of these things that you're together, and it's just, I mean, all the power to you if it's what you believe. And to anyone else that follows Melinda and believes what Melinda is talking about, then all the power to you. It doesn't affect me either way. Really, I'm just worried about, the holes that people are going to fall into, with this, and the amount of hate and, inflammatory blanket statements that are made about people and their faiths because you want to hold on to these Christian values that hurt other people. Christianity and Catholicism, Abrahamic belief has hurt so many more people than it has ever helped. And it is an ideal that needs to die. It simply is. Not the people, the ideal, the dogma. The dogma needs to be dismantled. And if you go into the Bible, and if you go into the Quran, which I've read both, multiple times. I mean, for fuck's sake, I lived in Istanbul, Turkey for 2 years, and went into a mosque and did worship in a mosque the way, that it's ought to be done. I was under the wing of a very, avid Muslim man, and I've read the Quran multiple times. I've read the Bible multiple times. And when you begin to dissect the Bible, when you begin to dissect the Quran, and when you begin to look at the intersectionality of things, and you truly do your due diligence and your research the correct way, the contradictions and the hypocrisy that are throughout these religions is unbearable. It truly is. No offense to those that believe it. That is your bag to carry, not mine. But I am not going to silence myself or stop talking about the things that I understand and the things that I know to be true through the research and work that I've done over the last 20 years. It's just that simple. And again, if my ideas offend you, that says so much more about you than
go through a lot of transformation, but he also said I was going to go through a lot of judgment where people were going to think I was out of my mind. And I had tears on my face, and I will never forget that experience with him in heaven. And I remember very specifically, he said, your path is not meant to convert people. Your life, your experiences, what you teach is not meant to convince people. It is meant to help people. And there's a difference. People that are ready for the information will find my information. People that are ready to receive will receive it in due time by the universe's divine design. And that rhymes. I know that's divine. My job is not meant to convince a hater on YouTube who had a problem because I wouldn't take his email seriously. That's not my job, to ease your expectations and your ego. Ridiculously laughable, because more than half the things that these people say, they're just saying from their own point of view, but also they contradict themselves.
there is no point in which we have contradicted.
You got a Satanist who's giving me shit, and you also got a witch who's working with a demonic entity who's Hecate, and I don't care what anyone says. When you call her...
So you just contradicted yourself from the beginning of your video. So I skipped over that entire part because most of this reaction that she did was in reference to this other person's video about Hecate. And it's not Hecate, right? That is a Spanish pronunciation, like Tecate beer, right? It's Hecate, not Hecate. Anyway, so it's just, again, contradictory statements throughout, constant cutting and jumping, only reacting to parts of things that she thinks was going to validate, her statements, completely ignoring the content that I actually reacted to. Again, the proof is in the pudding, people. I mean, it's a stupid statement, but it's true. The proof is in the pudding. Simply look at how I react to her videos and how she reacts to mine. She completely ignores the aspects of things that I am reacting to in the video. She jumps around, edits, and cuts things out. Right? I go straight through what I said, what her response is, and then I respond. The proof is in the editing. It's that simple. So, I mean, I don't really think that there's really much else to say to this. The rest of this is just kind of her blowing through shit. I mean, fuck it.
You're a dark mother. She's dark for a reason, and I want nothing to do with that. She even made one comment at one point. She said, yeah, well, you don't want to be blinded by the light. Let me ask you this. When all the power goes out, what are you going to reach for? When all the lights go out, what are you going to look for? Light. And there's a reason why the Big Bang Theory happened. There's a reason why we have a thing called electricity. There's a reason why the sun comes up every day. There's a reason why even the moon glows at night. Yeah, you got science. Okay. But the point is, it's all by divine design. There's a reason why we need to.
And so this is the biggest issue that I will maintain, even with her conversion over to witchcraft, is this stronghold that she has on Judeo-Christian dogma and Christian scripture. I have never seen someone in my entire life that has claimed to hate Christianity and Catholicism so much, but hold so strongly onto the beliefs. And maybe it's part of her path. Maybe it's something that she has to deal with before she kind of starts to. I mean, she'll never admit that like half of the shit that she says is bullshit and lie. She'll never do that because that'll just completely destroy her entire platform. It'll completely destroy her entire platform. I'm sad that this reaction kind of evolved so quickly because her initial response to my comment seemed sincere and heartfelt, and I was hoping for more of that. I was hoping for more of conversation instead of just kind of tearing each other apart like we normally do. Because the only thing that I've ever really kind of asked for was a conversation, a debate. And especially now that she claims to be a part of the occult, because the only way that, we're going to be able to educate, not just ourselves, but everyone else, is, by being able to have a conversation, and, having that conversation out in the wild for people to review and for people to look at and for people to make their own decisions. However, unfortunately, how things are, that model is never going to happen, because I would love nothing more than to put this to bed. I mean, she sits there and says that she's a cash cow. No, you're not. I react to things that I genuinely think need reacting to, and that's it. It has nothing to do with the views. I could give a shit less. It's one of the reasons why I stick to live content. I prefer live content. I prefer being able to have a conversation with my audience. Instead of just uploading a video like this and then having the comments come through. I think it's significantly more productive to do live content. My focus is live content. Just go through my videos, and see, I've never stopped making videos. I just focus more on live content than I do on pre-recorded. And when I do make a pre-recorded video, it's because I feel like something really needs to be talked about in the moment, and I don't want to wait. And I mean, that's kind of where we're sitting right now, right? Is where this reaction is coming from. I would have never known that this reaction existed if it wasn't for someone leaving a comment on one of my videos. Most of the time when I do react to something, it's because someone in my community requests it or says, hey, you need to react to this, you need to say something. And so that's how I found out that this existed, was because someone in the community turned me on to it. So it's just, Melinda, it's just kind of like one of those things that, there's a very easy way to kind of put all of this to bed. You ignored my request for a debate or a conversation years ago. I don't really care. I thought it would have been an interesting conversation based off of your views, your views on things. And it would have been a very quick way to just kind of start this and end this. But I suppose that, this back and forth is, how things are. It's just that simple. So anyway, let's finish this out. Hopefully.
To see in the darkness. There's a reason why light was manifested in the first place, because darkness was overtaking everything. And that's the reason why we need light. Because if we don't have light, how can we guide people out of the dark?
So I guess I could agree with that, which is one of the reasons why I work with Lucifer, right? Lucifer, the Roman god, the bearer of light. But and again, Melinda at the beginning has her fair use thing. You know what? Feel free to use any of my content, and you want to react to something, feel free to react to it. I don't care. I've always kind of irritated me, the people that kind of get irritated and butthurt, because somebody decided to use their content on something, format, and try to do downs that about stuff that I find that kind of idiotic to do that. So yeah, that is my reaction to Melinda reacting to me. And as always, everyone, kill thy fucking self.